Hello, dear audience. Let me start by saying something loud and clear. Every girl, every single one, deserves to stand on her own 2 feet, not because someone told her to, not because it's fashionable, but because it is her right. Financial independence is not a luxury, it is not optional, it is a necessity, it is the foundation on which freedom is built. And when I say freedom, I don't mean rebellion or resistance. I mean the power to make your own choices on your terms without compromise. You see, money isn't just about bills, brands, or bank balances. It's about agency. It's about dignity. It's about walking into a room and not needing anyone's permission to speak, to act, to dream. There was a time when girls were told, focus on marriage, on family, let the men handle the money. But times have changed, and thank God they have, because now we know better. Girls are not just daughters, sisters, wives, or mothers. They are leaders, innovators, CEO, scientists, artists, entrepreneurs. And in every one of these roles, financial independence fuels confidence. Let me say this to every young girl listening: earn your own, not because you can't depend on anyone else, but because you should never have to. Your independence is your insurance, your dreams, your plans, your safety net, your future. It all begins with your ability to stand tall and say, I've got this. And to the women who are already forging their paths, you are not just changing your lives, you are changing history. Every step you take creates a road for another girl to follow. You are not just building careers, you're building legacies. But let's be real, it's not easy. The world still puts up walls, wage gaps, glass ceilings, societal pressure. But guess what? We weren't born to be quiet. We weren't born to be limited. We were born to rise. So to every girl out there, educate yourself, earn your own, invest smart, dream big. And never, ever let anyone tell you what you can or cannot do. Especially when it comes to your money, financial independence is not something you strive for if you have extra time, extra ambition, or extra privilege. It is something that every girl must pursue as a fundamental, non-negotiable part of her life. Because being financially independent isn't just about having money in the bank or being able to afford luxury handbags or vacations. It's about survival, self-respect, and security. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, whether relationships shift, careers change, or life throws curveballs, you can handle it. You can hold your ground. You can make it on your own. Too often, women are raised with the subconscious message that someone else, usually a man, will provide. Society teaches girls to plan their lives around marriage, around family, around being chosen. But no one tells them to plan around independence. No one tells them that depending on someone else for money is depending on them for power. Because money, in the real world, is not just currency. It's control. It's having a seat at the table. It's being able to walk away from toxic relationships, bad jobs, disrespect, and manipulation. When you don't have financial independence, you don't have full freedom. And without freedom, you're negotiating your life with one hand tied behind your back. Being financially independent means you don't have to ask anyone's permission. You don't have to stay in a situation just because you can't afford to leave. It means if someone disrespects you, belittles you, or threatens your dignity, you can walk away without wondering how you'll pay the rent or put food on the table. That's not just power, it's peace. It's the quiet strength of knowing you can take care of yourself. For centuries, women have been conditioned to believe that their value lies in how well they can support others, not themselves. Caregivers, homemakers, nurturers. We've worn these titles with pride, and rightly so. But that same conditioning has cost generations of women their independence, and now it's time to rewrite the narrative. We don't have to choose between being kind and being capable, between being loving and being strong. We can be all of it, we must be all of it, and that starts with being financially empowered. Financial independence doesn't mean you need to be rich. It doesn't mean you have to be an investment banker or own a multi-million-dollar company. It simply means that your basic needs, your dreams, your choices are not dependent on anyone else's generosity or approval. You earn, you save, you manage your money, and you make decisions that align with your values and your vision. It's also about the mindset. You stop seeing money as something intimidating, complicated, or not for you. You start seeing it as a tool, your tool to build the life you want. You learn to budget, to invest, to grow your resources, not just spend them. You don't hand over your financial power to someone else and hope for the best. You own it. You educate yourself. You ask the tough questions. You get curious about your money because it affects every part of your life, from the food you eat to the health care you access, from the home you live in to the future you dream about. When a girl is financially independent, her entire life changes. She raises her standards. She starts making decisions that are best for her, not just convenient or acceptable to others. She speaks up more. She takes risks. She stops shrinking herself to fit into spaces that weren't built for her. Because she knows she belongs there, and she can afford to take her time, explore her options, and go after what she truly wants. And let's be honest, financial independence is also a form of protection. It's not just about ambition, it's about safety. Too many women stay in abusive or demeaning relationships simply because they have no financial way out. Too many are afraid to leave a job where they are undervalued or harassed because they don't know how they'll support themselves if they walk away. When you have your own income, your own savings, your own fallback plan, you have options. And when you have options, no one can trap you. This isn't just a personal issue, it's a societal one. When women are financially independent, communities thrive, families become stronger, economies grow. Girls start seeing themselves differently. They start dreaming bigger, aiming higher, because they've seen what's possible. They've seen a woman stand tall, own her life, and refuse to be defined by dependency. This is why every girl, no matter where she's born, what she looks like, or what language she speaks, needs to hear this message early and often. Your independence is your birthright. Your financial strength is not selfish. It is smart, necessary, and powerful. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for wanting your own money. Don't let anyone tell you that you're too ambitious, too bold, or too much. Be all of it. Be relentless in your pursuit of freedom and unapologetic about your desire to stand on your own. Because in a world that still tries to control, silence, and shrink women, your financial independence is an act of rebellion. It's a declaration that says, I will not wait to be rescued. I will not be caged by tradition or limited by expectation. I will earn, I will rise, and I will own every part of my journey. Money is often misunderstood. People talk about it like it's dirty, selfish, or purely material. But the truth is, money is none of those things. Money is power, money is agency, money is choice, and for a girl, especially in a world that still questions her worth, that power is life-changing. When a girl has money of her own, she isn't just buying products, she's buying freedom. She's buying the ability to say no without fear. She's buying her way out of unsafe situations. She's buying her right to dream without limits. Let's be clear, this isn't about becoming obsessed with wealth. It's about recognizing that money is a tool, a powerful one, that helps a woman take control of her life, her decisions, and her future. Power doesn't always come with a title or a crown. Sometimes power looks like paying your own rent. Sometimes it looks like helping your parents without asking anyone else for help. Sometimes it's as simple as being able to walk into a store and buy what you need when you need it, without depending on someone else's permission. That's real power, and it starts with your own money. Now let's talk about agency. What does that even mean? Agency is the ability to act, to decide, to move forward without waiting for someone to give you the green light. It's about owning your decisions, where you live, what job you take, what relationships you choose to be in or leave behind. When a woman has her own financial resources, she has real agency. She's not stuck. She's not surviving, she's leading. She gets to ask herself what she wants, not just what's possible within someone else's budget or beliefs. And what about choice? That's the heart of it. Money gives a girl choices. She can choose to say yes or no. She can choose to leave a job that drains her or take a risk on a business idea she believes in. She can choose to prioritize her mental health, her education, her goals, because she's not waiting for someone else to invest in her. She already believes she's worth investing in. When you don't have money, even small decisions feel big. You weigh everything carefully, not based on what you want, but on what you can afford. Can I say no to this opportunity? Can I walk away from this toxic friend or partner? Can I move to a city that gives me better options? Without money, choices become chains. With money, those same choices become wings. Money lets you set boundaries. And boundaries are a form of self-love. When you don't need someone else to pay your bills, you don't feel obligated to tolerate disrespect, to keep quiet, or to stay where you don't belong. That's not arrogance, it's self-respect. And that self-respect multiplies when a woman realizes she holds the key to her own life. Let's get rid of the shame around women wanting to earn, wanting to succeed, wanting to grow financially. Wanting money doesn't make you greedy. Wanting control over your life doesn't make you cold. It makes you aware. It makes you strong. And if a man can be proud of his ambition, why should a woman apologize for hers? Financial power doesn't always look flashy. It's not about flaunting or competing. It's quiet, sometimes invisible, but deeply rooted in confidence. It shows up in your posture, in your decisions, in the way you say, "I've got it." And not just because you want to prove something, but because you actually do. You've got it covered. That's powerful. There are millions of women around the world who have dreams but no means. They have ideas, intelligence, and fire in their hearts, but they are silenced by financial dependence. This is why money matters. This is why we can't separate equality from economics. Empowerment without financial backing is incomplete, because at the end of the day, every empowered decision needs a practical foundation. And that foundation is money. When a girl has her own income, her own savings, her own understanding of finance, she changes. She doesn't shrink herself. She speaks differently. She negotiates. She asks for more, because she knows she deserves more. She becomes less afraid of failure because she knows she can recover. She becomes more curious about opportunities because she's not constantly trying to survive. She's focused on thriving. And do you know what's beautiful? When a woman has financial power, she doesn't just change her life. She changes others' lives too. She lifts others up. She helps her family, supports her friends, invests in her community. She becomes a pillar, not just for herself, but for everyone around her. That is the ripple effect of giving a woman financial choice. We need to teach girls from a young age that money isn't just for men, that managing money, investing, building wealth, these are not gendered skills. They are life skills, and girls deserve to learn them, use them, and master them, because once they do, they are unstoppable. We live in a world that still tries to limit women with invisible rules. Be polite, be grateful, don't ask for too much. But when a woman has her own money, she breaks those rules without fear. She becomes the rule setter. She builds her own table if she's not invited to one. She funds her own projects, her own ideas, her own mission. So, when we say money equals power, agency, and choice, we're not making a motivational statement. We're speaking the truth, because the girl who owns her wallet owns her voice, and the girl who owns her voice, she owns her future. Girls are not born with limits, they are born with potential, vast, wild, and untamed. But from the moment they start growing up, society begins boxing them in. Be quiet, be nice. Be helpful, be careful, be pretty, be acceptable, be everything, but not too much. Girls are told directly and indirectly to shrink themselves to fit inside roles that someone else defined long ago. Daughter, wife, mother, supporter, caregiver, all noble titles, all worthy roles. But not the whole story, not even close, because a girl is more than who she is to someone else. She is more than the label that society pastes on her. She is more than the expectations she's handed before she even knows who she is. She is her own person, with ideas, dreams, talents, ambition. She is capable of building, leading, discovering, and inventing. She is a leader, a visionary, a creator, a change maker. She is not just part of someone else's journey. She is the author of her own. For too long, traditional roles have been used as the boundary lines for what a girl should and shouldn't be. She's praised when she fits the mold, criticized when she steps out of it. She's called too ambitious, too aggressive, or too emotional when she dares to dream beyond what she was told she could be. But here's the truth, there is no too much when it comes to a girl's potential. There is only fear, fear from a world that is not ready to handle her fire. It's not that traditional roles are wrong. It's that they are incomplete. They tell only one chapter of a much larger story. Yes, a girl can be nurturing. Yes, she can love her family deeply, but she can also lead a company. She can launch rockets into space. She can write books, run governments, win awards, build empires. She can do all of it, and she should never have to apologize for being more than what was expected of her. The world has changed, but in too many places, the narrative around girls hasn't. We still hear people say, let the boys handle the money, or she should focus on marriage, or this career is too difficult for a girl. And we still see girls being discouraged from speaking too loudly, taking up too much space, or aiming too high. But those voices are wrong. They're outdated and they're dangerous, because when we box girls in, we don't just limit them, we limit the entire world. Imagine the progress we've lost because a brilliant girl somewhere was told to stay in her place. Imagine the cures not found, the businesses not built, the art not created, the problems not solved, because someone looked at a girl and said, you can't. And that's why we must say the opposite, loudly and constantly. Yes, you can. Yes, you should. Yes, the world needs you. When a girl sees herself as more than a role, she starts making different choices. She studies harder, not because someone told her to, but because she believes in her future. She takes risks, not reckless ones, but bold ones, knowing that failure is just part of the process. She surrounds herself with people who see her for what she is, not a helper in someone else's dream, but the lead in her own. And when a girl becomes financially independent on top of that, she becomes unstoppable because she's no longer trapped by the old idea that her worth is measured by how well she supports others. She knows her worth. She defines it. She builds it. And then she uses it to uplift others. Not because she has to, but because she wants to. That's the power of being more than a role. It turns you into a force. Girls today are already changing the world. They're starting businesses in their teens, they're coding apps, creating art, leading climate movements, speaking on global stages. They're not waiting to be chosen, they're choosing themselves, and it's our job to support that. To tell every girl, no matter where she comes from or what she looks like, you are enough, you are powerful, and you are allowed to want more than just what tradition has handed you. We need to stop asking girls, "What will you be when you grow up?" like there's only one right answer. We should be asking, "What will you create? What will you change? Who will you become?" Because a girl can be more than one thing. She can be a scientist and a dancer, a mother and a CEO, a dreamer and a doer. She doesn't have to choose between power and grace, strength and softness, leadership and love. She can be all of it, and the moment we truly start seeing girls that way, not as fragile beings to be protected, but as powerful minds to be unleashed, that's the moment everything changes. That's when we'll see innovation grow faster, societies become fairer, and futures become brighter, not just for girls, but for everyone. Because when a girl becomes more than a role, she reminds the world of something it forgot, that she was never born to fit in, she was born to stand out. There is a quiet, unshakable confidence that comes from earning your own money. It's not loud, it's not boastful, but it's there, in the way you walk into a room, in the way you speak, in the way you make decisions. Because when you earn your own living, you don't just gain money, you gain a sense of power over your own life. You stop looking around for approval. You stop waiting for someone to save you or sponsor your dreams. You start relying on the one person who has never let you down, yourself. The act of earning your own money changes something deep inside you. It says, I can take care of myself, I can stand on my own. I can figure it out, and once that seed is planted, it grows. It grows into self-respect, it grows into boldness, it grows into a refusal to settle for anything less than what you know you deserve. Money earned through your own efforts brings a kind of pride that cannot be borrowed or gifted. It's the pride that comes from putting in the work, from staying up late to finish a project, from solving problems, from showing up even when it's hard. When you work for your own success, no one can take that away from you. No one can say, "You have this because of me." It's yours, you built it, and you know exactly what it took to get there. This kind of confidence doesn't come from beauty, charm, or background. It comes from knowing your worth and proving it to yourself through action. The first time you pay your own bill, the first time you look at your bank account and realize it came from your own effort, the first time you make a financial decision without having to ask anyone, that feeling, that's freedom, that's independence, that's the beginning of something unstoppable. When girls start earning their own money, the entire way they see themselves begins to shift. They become less afraid of risk. They're not waiting to marry security. They become curious about possibilities. They start asking, "What else can I do?" instead of "What am I allowed to do?" They stop shrinking. They stop apologizing. They step up and step forward. Earning for yourself doesn't mean you never need anyone. It just means you don't depend on anyone to define your value. You can love people, work with people, share your life with people, but yourself, worth isn't tied to someone else's wallet or decisions. That's a game changer. That's when relationships become partnerships, not transactions. That's when you start choosing people not because you need them, but because you respect and connect with them. And let's be honest, this kind of independence scares some people. Not everyone is ready for a woman who knows her worth and backs it up with her own income. But that's not your problem to fix. That's the world's problem to catch up with. You're not here to make people comfortable. You're here to grow, to build, to live life on your own terms. The freedom that comes from self-earning isn't just financial. It's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop tolerating disrespect. You start setting boundaries. You learn to say no without guilt and yes without fear, because you know you can afford to walk away from anything that doesn't serve you. You also begin to dream bigger. When you know how to earn for yourself, you realize you can also save, invest, and build something lasting. You're not living paycheck to paycheck in your mind anymore. You're thinking about your future. Your home, your travels, your investments, your legacy. You're not waiting for someone else to build a life for you. You're designing it yourself. And when girls see other women doing this, when they see mothers, sisters, teachers, mentors earning and owning their lives, it lights a fire. It becomes a new normal. Suddenly, ambition doesn't look selfish. It looks smart. Earning doesn't look like rebellion. It looks like responsibility and success. It stops being a man's world and starts becoming everyone's world. Let's stop telling girls they need to be humble about their accomplishments. Let's stop conditioning them to feel guilty for wanting financial freedom. Confidence is not arrogance. Freedom is not disrespect. Self-earning is not selfish. It's survival. It's growth. It's the foundation of every other kind of freedom. Because here's the truth, when you know you can earn, you know you can rebuild, you become less afraid of failure. You stop clinging to things that don't serve you, whether it's a job, a relationship, or a place that holds you back. You know that even if you fall, you can get back up, because you've done it before. You've worked for what you have, and you can do it again. That's why self-earning is powerful. It doesn't just change your bank account. It changes your posture, it changes your energy, it changes how you speak about yourself and how others speak to you. It's not about the money, it's about what the money represents: strength, courage, capability, independence. So to every girl out there, earn for yourself, learn the skills, do the work, ask for the raise, start the business, apply for the job, charge what you're worth. Be relentless in your pursuit of freedom. Because when you start earning for yourself, you're not just changing your life. You're changing the expectations for every girl who comes after you. Dependency is not just a lack of money, it's a loss of power. It's a condition that slowly chips away at a girl's confidence, her sense of safety, and even her voice. When a girl is financially dependent on someone else, she's more vulnerable. Not just economically, but emotionally, mentally, and physically. That dependency creates a power imbalance that makes it easier for her to be controlled, silenced, or even exploited. And that's the truth we don't talk about enough. We're taught to think of money as a tool for comfort or as a way to buy things. But money is far more than that. It's protection. It's the wall between a girl and a world that too often tries to take advantage of her. It's the shield that lets her say no without fearing what that no might cost her. When a girl has to rely on someone else for the basic necessities of life, food, clothes, education, transport, a roof over her head, she can't always make choices freely. She has to calculate her words. She has to weigh every decision against the question, will they still support me if I say this? That's not freedom, that's not safety, that's survival, and no girl should have to live her life in survival mode. In many households, girls are raised to depend. They're told, don't worry about earning. Your husband will take care of you. Or you don't need a career. Focus on your family. And while there's absolutely nothing wrong with choosing family, it becomes a problem when that choice is made for her, not by her. It becomes dangerous when it's her only option, because if something goes wrong, if that husband leaves or turns abusive or loses his job, what happens to her then? She's left stranded, she's left powerless, she's left in situations she can't walk away from, because walking away means losing everything. Let's be honest. Too many girls stay in harmful relationships, in homes that stifle them, in marriages that crush their spirit, not because they don't know it's wrong, but because they can't afford to leave. They don't have their own bank account. They don't have savings, they don't have skills, so they stay, and the world judges them for it, calls them weak, questions their courage, but it's not weakness. It's the cruel consequence of financial dependence. And it's not just at home, it's in the workplace too. When a girl has no other income, she's more likely to accept harassment in silence, to tolerate toxic bosses, to settle for less than she's worth, because she can't risk losing the little she has. She's told to be grateful, she's reminded that she's replaceable, that fear of losing her livelihood, of not being able to support herself, is what keeps her quiet. This is why we must change the narrative. This is why we must stop romanticizing dependency and start recognizing it for what it often is: a trap disguised as comfort, a trap dressed up as tradition, a trap that keeps too many girls from reaching their potential and claiming their rights. A girl who is financially independent can say no with confidence. She can leave when she's disrespected. She can walk away from abuse. She can start over. She can dream freely, plan openly, and protect herself fiercely. That's what money gives her, not luxury but leverage, not just comfort but control. Let's teach our girls that earning money is not just about ambition. It's about safety. It's about dignity. It's about having the ability to protect yourself when no one else will. It's about never having to beg for what should be yours. Respect, freedom, and choice. Let's stop telling them to wait for a man to provide. Let's raise them to provide for themselves, and then decide if and how they want to share that power. Because when a girl earns, she doesn't just protect herself, she protects her future, she breaks the cycle for the next generation, she raises daughters who see strength in independence, she raises sons who respect women who stand on their own. And she shifts the very culture that once told her to stay small. Dependency might feel safe at first, it might feel like love, it might even feel like tradition, but when things fall apart, and sometimes they do, only independence will stand between a girl and desperation. Only independence will give her options, give her voice, give her the strength to walk away from what doesn't serve her. And for the girls who have already been hurt, for the ones who were taken advantage of because they had no other option, let's not turn away. Let's offer them tools, not pity. Let's give them opportunities, not judgment. Let's help them rise by showing them that their future is still in their hands. To every girl out there, you don't have to wait to be rescued. You don't have to settle for less because you're afraid of being alone or being broke. You have the power to earn, to build, to protect yourself. And when you do, no one will ever again have the power to trap you, break you, or buy your silence. Because a girl who owns her income owns her freedom, and a girl who owns her freedom cannot be exploited. She is unbreakable. Money is not just pieces of paper or numbers in a bank account. It's not just a means to buy clothes, food, or gadgets. For a girl, money is far more than a tool for spending. It is identity, it is security, it is dignity, and the moment she earns her first income, she starts to understand her place in the world. Not as someone dependent on others, but as someone who contributes, who belongs, who matters. We are often told not to talk about money, especially as girls. We're told it's not polite, that it's not ladylike, that it's materialistic, but silence is not innocence. It's ignorance, and ignorance is dangerous. Because when a girl doesn't understand money, when she doesn't own it, manage it, or control it, someone else will do it for her, and that someone may not always have her best interest at heart. Let's be real. Money is not just about the bills we pay. It's about the choices we make, the ability to say, this is where I want to live, this is what I want to study, this is the job I want to take, this is the life I choose for myself. Without money, too many of these decisions are not made by the girl herself, but by the people who control the purse strings. Money gives a girl a voice in her own life. It gives her the power to say yes to growth and no to pressure. It's not about luxury, it's about liberty. When she earns, she feels seen. When she saves, she feels smart. When she spends on herself, she feels worthy, and when she gives, she feels proud. These aren't just financial acts, they're acts of identity. Think about it. How does a girl feel when she can pay her own college fees, or buy her parents something with her own salary, or rent a place of her own? She doesn't just feel richer, she feels real. She feels like she exists on her own terms. She no longer needs someone else to validate her worth. Her identity is no longer tied to what she looks like, who she's married to, or what she wears. It's tied to what she does, what she creates, what she earns. And then there's security. Let's not underestimate the peace of mind that money can bring. A girl who has her own financial safety net sleeps better at night. She doesn't live in fear of sudden change, a breakup, a layoff, a crisis. She doesn't panic when plans go wrong. She plans again, she adapts. She survives because she's not caught off guard. She's prepared. Security is not about hoarding money. It's about knowing you can take care of yourself in the face of the unknown. It's about walking into a room, whether it's a boardroom, a courtroom, or your own living room, with the quiet knowledge that you owe no one your silence in exchange for support. That kind of freedom is rare. That kind of peace is priceless. And then there is dignity. This might be the most powerful of all, because dignity means you don't have to beg. You don't have to prove yourself to be deserving of help. You don't have to stay in situations that feel wrong just because they feel safe. Dignity means being able to say, I don't accept this, and mean it. It means being able to leave a job that disrespects you, a partner who controls you, or a life that drains you, without fear of having nowhere to go. When a girl earns her own money, she carries herself differently. Not out of arrogance, but out of self-respect. She's no longer a guest in someone else's house. She's building her own. She doesn't need to be grateful for scraps. She knows she deserves more, and she's willing to work for it, fight for it, and protect it. This is why financial education should not be optional for girls. It should be foundational. We teach them how to look presentable, how to speak softly, how to be accommodating. But we forget to teach them how to read a payslip, how to negotiate a salary, how to budget, how to invest. Why? Because we're still afraid of what happens when a girl stops depending and starts deciding. But we shouldn't be afraid of that. We should celebrate it, because when a girl owns her money, she owns her mind. When she controls her finances, she controls her future. And when she stands tall in the power of her own income, she sends a message to the world: I am not a burden. I am not a background character in someone else's story. I am the author of my own. Girls should grow up seeing money not as something to wish for, marry into, or wait for, but as something they generate, manage, and grow. Let money become part of their self-image, not as a measure of their femininity, but as a marker of their freedom. Let every coin they earn whisper back to them, you are capable, you are worthy, you are enough. Money, when earned with integrity, becomes a mirror. It reflects back the strength, resilience, and brilliance of the girl who dared to dream bigger than tradition allowed. And that reflection is something no one can take away from her, because it's hers. She worked for it. She earned it. She became it. When you become financially independent, the world begins to look at you differently. And not just look, but listen, because money changes not just your lifestyle, it changes the way people respond to you, respect you, and relate to you. The very moment a girl starts earning her own living, a shift happens, not just within her, but around her. It's subtle at first, then powerful, then undeniable. The truth is, society treats people differently based on perceived power, and power, very often, is directly connected to money. The one who brings money to the table is rarely asked to stay quiet. The one who pays her own bills is not dismissed easily. The one who is financially independent isn't treated like a dependent. She is treated like an equal, a decision maker, someone who must be consulted, not just informed. For many girls, the earliest experiences of being underestimated, overlooked, or even controlled start with dependency. When you're asking for permission to spend, when you're waiting for someone else to support your needs, you're in a position that limits your authority. And the world sees that. Some will take advantage of it. Some will use it to silence you. But the minute you start earning your own, that dynamic begins to flip. Financial independence is like armor. You walk into a room taller, you speak with more clarity, you don't have to shout to be heard because your presence now carries weight. People pay attention not just to your words, but to your actions. And nothing speaks louder than a woman who doesn't need to ask for permission to live her life. There's a certain glow, a confidence that comes from knowing your expenses are covered because of you. That your future is funded not by chance or charity or dependency, but by your own hands, mind, and sweat, and the world senses that. They sense that they can't just throw crumbs your way. They sense you don't have to accept what doesn't meet your standards. They sense that you're not in the room to impress. You're there to contribute, to create, to lead. And let's talk about relationships. Whether it's in family, friendships, or love, money has a powerful role. When you're financially dependent, you're often expected to compromise more. Keep your head down, be agreeable, stay grateful. But when you're financially independent, you begin to choose people, not from a place of desperation or fear, but from a place of respect. You are no longer afraid to walk away from relationships that shrink you. You know your value, and the world starts to reflect it back to you. People start negotiating with you, not commanding you. They ask for your opinion not just out of courtesy, but because your words are backed by action, by independence, by proof that you can stand on your own. That's when people stop saying, "Let me decide for you," and start saying, "What do you think?" That's when boys stop being told, "She'll be a good wife," and start hearing, "She's building an empire." That kind of shift doesn't just happen. It's earned. Every hour worked. Every challenge overcome. Every decision made without seeking approval adds to that power, and that power rewrites how people see you, not as someone waiting to be chosen, but as someone choosing. And the most beautiful part, it's not just the external world that changes. You start changing the way you allow the world to treat you. You no longer settle. You raise your standards, not just financially, but emotionally and spiritually. You know you deserve more because you've given more to yourself. Your boundaries get stronger, your energy gets clearer, you become selective with your time, your attention, your space. You start teaching people how to treat you by the way you treat yourself. When you invest in yourself, people start investing in you. When you respect your time, people start respecting it too. When you say, "This is what I'm worth," and have the life to back it up, they believe you. They may not like it, but they believe it, because you've earned the credibility that can't be faked. The narrative changes from "she's lucky" to "she's driven," from "she's supported" to "she supports," from "she's dreaming" to "she's delivering," and that is the power of being financially independent. It's not about showing off wealth. It's about commanding respect, not through intimidation, not through fear, but through freedom, because freedom makes people notice you. It makes them listen to you. It makes them treat you as someone who cannot be bought, borrowed, or broken, someone who's not here to play safe, but to play smart, someone who's not here to be rescued, but to rise, to lead, and to shine. So yes, money changes things, but not in the shallow way people assume. It changes how you're treated, how you're seen, how you're spoken to, how seriously you're taken, and that shift, that's not just progress. That's justice, that's equity, that's the foundation of true empowerment. Financial independence is not just a personal victory. It is a ripple that extends far beyond the individual, reaching into families, communities, and even entire societies. When a girl learns to stand on her own financially, she doesn't just secure her own future, she opens the door to lift others as well. This is the beautiful power of financial independence. It creates not just personal freedom, but collective strength. Imagine a girl who earns her own money. That income isn't just a paycheck, it's a tool she can use to invest in her education, support her family, and help her community thrive. When she is independent, she can provide for younger siblings, contribute to household expenses, and even create opportunities for others who might be struggling. Financial independence transforms her from a dependent to a provider, from a receiver to a giver. And this giving isn't limited to money alone. It's about the choices her financial freedom enables. Choices like sending children to school instead of keeping them at home, investing in healthcare, or starting a local business that creates jobs. When girls earn their own income, they become the engines of change in their neighborhoods, using resources to solve problems that matter deeply to them. Communities flourish when women are empowered economically. Studies around the world have shown that women are more likely to spend their earnings on their families, on food, education, and health, compared to men. This means that when girls and women are financially independent, entire households become more stable and secure. Children have better nutrition, better schooling, and better futures, but it goes beyond the home. Financial independence allows girls to support causes that matter to them, whether it's funding education for girls who cannot afford school, supporting women's rights organizations, or investing in local projects that improve their environment. When a girl controls her finances, she gains a voice in how resources are allocated, and that voice can be powerful. In fact, the impact is often multi-generational. A financially independent girl becomes a role model, inspiring her sisters, cousins, and daughters to pursue their own paths. She breaks cycles of poverty and dependence by showing others what is possible. Her success becomes proof that change is attainable, sparking hope and ambition in others. This ripple effect isn't just a hopeful idea, it's been proven time and again. Communities where women have control over income experience lower levels of poverty, improved health outcomes, and more inclusive governance. Women's financial empowerment leads to stronger economies and more resilient societies. When girls are financially independent, they also challenge societal norms that limit women's roles. They become leaders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. They participate in decision-making processes, at home, in their communities, and even in governments. This shifts the cultural narrative, pushing society toward equality and justice. We need to stop thinking of financial independence as a luxury or an individual achievement alone. It is a cornerstone for collective progress. When a girl earns and controls her money, she is not just making her life better, she is contributing to a better world. So, to every girl, your financial independence is your power, your gift to the world. It allows you to rise, yes, but also to lift others with you. It's the key to transforming not just your life, but the lives of those around you. When you stand tall financially, you don't stand alone, you stand for many. Financial independence is not just about numbers or bank accounts. It's about the freedom to be who you truly are. It is the pathway to discovering and expressing your authentic self without fear, hesitation, or compromise. For every girl, this freedom is a gift that transforms not only her life, but the very way she experiences the world. When a girl has financial independence, she gains the ability to make choices that reflect her passions, values, and dreams. She is no longer confined by the limitations set by others, whether it's family expectations, societal norms, or economic constraints. Instead, she writes her own story, one where her voice is heard and her identity honored. Think about what it means to truly express yourself. It means having the space to explore who you are, your talents, your beliefs, your style, your ambitions, without having to ask permission or justify your decisions. Financial independence grants that space. It provides the resources and confidence to pursue education, career, art, or activism on your own terms. Without financial independence, many girls feel trapped. They suppress their desires because they lack the means to follow them. They conform to roles and expectations simply because it's easier, safer, or necessary for survival. But when money is no longer a barrier, a world of possibilities opens up. She can choose her own path, take risks, and embrace opportunities that align with her true self. This freedom is deeply empowering. It allows a girl to say yes to her dreams and no to anything that does not serve her well-being or growth. She can travel, create, build, and innovate without the heavy weight of financial dependence holding her back. She can advocate for causes she believes in, start a business, or dedicate herself to art or science, whatever her heart calls her to do. Moreover, financial independence fosters self-respect. When a girl earns her own money, she sees her efforts reflected in tangible results. That sense of achievement boosts her confidence and self-worth. She learns that she is capable and deserving of success on her own merit, not just because of who she knows or where she comes from. Self-expression through financial freedom also breaks down stereotypes and challenges traditional gender roles. It shows that a girl's identity is not limited to marriage or motherhood. It can be entrepreneurship, leadership, creativity, or intellectual pursuit. This broadens the horizons not just for her, but for every girl who sees her journey. The ripple effect of this is profound. A financially independent girl inspires others to claim their freedom. She becomes a beacon of hope and possibility, demonstrating that identity and independence go hand in hand. She teaches that true freedom means having control over your life, your choices, and your future. Financial independence also means the ability to create balance. It allows girls to prioritize their mental and emotional health without worrying constantly about survival. They can seek support, pursue hobbies, or take time off without guilt or fear of losing their stability. This balance nurtures creativity and authenticity, making their self-expression even richer. Ultimately, financial independence is about owning your life, your decisions, your dreams. It is about stepping into your power unapologetically and living a life that feels true to who you are. When girls are free financially, they are free in every other way too. So, to every girl listening, claim your financial independence not just for the security it brings, but for the freedom it unlocks. Let it be the key that opens the door to your most authentic, vibrant, and empowered CLF.